Now, February is an important month for gardeners in the Southern African region. This is because February is the peak of our growing season. So we have approximately 3 to 4 months left of the growing season. And in today's video, I will be sharing some of the crops that I'm planting and sowing in this month to ensure that I maximize the remainder of the growing season. So all of that is coming up in this video. Welcome to Veggies and Herbs. My name is Ruben Malai. Now, as indicated that February is an important month, and we have approximately from February until April, May, which is approximately 90 to 120 days left of the growing season. Now, obviously, this is depending on your region and your regional climate, but for many gardeners, we can still get a good sowing out of the remainder of the growing season if we work our plan properly. So I will be sharing some of the crops that I will be planting, and I will categorize them as per Brendan Ham and Colin McCrick's book, which is short season crops, half season crops, as well as the long season crops. So let's start with the short season crops. Now, short season crops include crops that can be ready within 30 to 60 days, which means that within 30 to 60 days, you will be able to harvest some of these crops. So first on my list is spinach. I specifically love this variety because it just produces some beautiful Spanish leaves. So I decided to just sow it directly. And the beauty with spinach is that it is a good source of protein, vitamin A, C, E, and K. So this is one of my short season crops that I'm planting now, followed by arugula. Now, arugula is a herb that is easy to grow from seed. So you can either start it indoors or you can sow it directly in your garden. So I am sowing some arugula seed as well as some of the lettuce. I'm using this variety and trying out this variety this year. So this is some of the seed that I'm starting. Another indigenous leafy green that I'm trying out this year is moroka. I got this from Living Seeds, but these are some of the short season crops that I am planting in February. Now, the beauty with short season crops is that you can actually have a succession throughout the remainder of the growing season, which means every 30 days or 60 days, you can sow out some of the seed, depending on how you and your family consume these crops. So those are some of the short season crops that I'm sowing this year. Now, half season crops are crops that takes approximately 50 to 80 days before it can be ready for harvest. So the half season crops that I'm growing in my garden and also continue to sow is bush beans. This year I'm trying out the purple and the yellow variety, but bush bean is definitely one of the half-season crops that I'm definitely sowing also in February. The next, some of the half-season root crops will be carrots. This year I am trying out some varieties that are good for containers. They produce round carrots, so I want to experiment with them. So I am sowing this in a container, and then I will just be also sowing my normal type of carrots, that variety, into my garden. Now, with carrots, it's important to sow them directly, but the next root crop, which is beetroot, is one of the root crops that can be sown directly, but you can also start them off indoors. So I have some golden variety that is growing in my garden, but I'm sowing some traditional beetroot currently growing on my windowsill, which I will be transplanting. And this is some of the crops that I definitely will also grow through the winter season. Now, when we look at some brassicas, some half-season brassicas is definitely cabbage. So I'm trying this variety that I got from Living Seeds. So for me, it is best for me to grow my cabbage in the autumn because during the warm seasons, it just do not well for me. So I've also start off some broccoli. I have some broccoli that I've also transplanted last month because my hope is to have a staggering harvest, so that I'm hoping that this broccoli will make it through, and then I will harvest it in the autumn and also through the winter. So I have some broccoli, and I make sure that I just interplant it with some marigold to keep the pest at bay. Kale and Swiss chard is also some of the crops that you can start off now. They can handle the heat. I have some kale plants that have been growing throughout, from spring throughout the season. And the beauty with kale is beautiful cut and come again crop that you can grow and even start off. If you haven't have some kale plants in your garden, definitely you can. There are some kale that you can start off. The other heat-loving crops that you can also plant out is definitely some tomatoes. The idea is to actually get it in the ground now, transplant it in February, so that you can have a harvest. I'm also having some peppers that are currently growing in my garden, but you can definitely still get tomato harvest if you put some of your tomato plants, transplant them now. And before the cold season actually comes, you will be able to harvest some of the tomatoes and some of the heat-loving crops like peppers and squash. And now, guys, talking about squash, can I get some idea? This crop, it fell off my trellis. I think this butternut was too heavy with some heavy winds recently. So yesterday I found this on the ground. So can I still save this? Can somebody please tell me, what can I do? Should I put it in the sun? I see some say keep it in the sun and then it can ripen. Or should I keep it in a dark spot? Please let me know if you know, because this is quite a beautiful butternut that has fallen off. And my biggest fear has come to pass, but please let me know if I can still save this butternut. Can I ripen it off the vine? But yeah, so heat-loving crop like squash, tomatoes, is definitely some of the stuff that you can still grow. Now the long season crops are crops that needs approximately 70 to 120 days. So on my list of long season crops that I'm still putting in the ground now this month is runner beans. I like to grow runner beans for the dry beans, so I will leave mine to ripen on and get ripe on the vine. I've already had a couple of them that has grown quite well. But I'm also planting now my second sowing to see if I cannot get another harvest of runner beans. But runner beans, you just need a structure. You can also grow it in containers. But runner beans are some of the long season crops that you can plant. My household use a lot of sweet potato, so I already have some slopes. And last week I planted out some of these spice slopes into the garden. So depending on how you grow your slopes, because there are two different techniques. I've tried to submerge the sweet potato in water. I've used that technique previously. This year I've just submerged the sweet potato in compost. And the beauty with this one is once you take out the slopes, they already have developed those roots, so you don't have to put it in water to develop. So it was easy for me just to actually plant them directly into my garden. But if your slopes are ready and has already developed some roots, now is the time to plant your sweet potato slopes to ensure that you get a harvest before the end of the growing season. But these are some of the crops that I'm planting. Let me know what you are doing, and please let me know, is there hope for this butternut? But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the future one. Keep on sowing and growing. Cheers.